All right, let's dive into something that's way more interesting than it sounds: lithium pricing. You might not think it's that exciting, but trust me, it's a wild ride. And we're using the Lithium Voice magazine, as our guide. It's published by the International Lithium Association, in case you didn't know.
And it's the perfect time to be digging into this because lithium is no longer just some obscure metal, right? It's the heart of the electric revolution, our phones, electric vehicles, everything.
It's true. And we've all seen those headlines about lithium prices going crazy, up, down, all over the place. I bet it makes you think twice if you're considering getting an electric car or even just thinking about investing, right?
For sure. That's where the lithium voice comes in. It helps us really understand what's actually behind those price swings.
Okay, so let's get this out of the way first. You see a headline that just says lithium prices, but there isn't just one lithium price, is there?
No, not at all. It's way more nuanced than that.
Right.
It's like trying to work out the average price of a car. I mean, are we talking about a brand new electric SUV or like a really old used car that's been passed down in the family, a sports car or a pickup truck? There's so many variations.
It gets complicated so fast. But the Lithium Voice does a good job at explaining these different, what do they call them, pricing buckets.
Yes, exactly. So you've got these long-term contracts. Those are huge stable deals that are essential for new lithium mines, to get the money they need. It's like a guarantee for investors, promises a fixed price no matter what the market's doing.
Makes sense. So then on the other side, there's spot prices, which is like the Wild West, right? That's the price right now. And it changes constantly based on what people are willing to pay. So, like, what happens when we have a sudden heat wave? Everyone wants air conditioners, which need lithium-ion batteries, and boom.
Exactly. Huge demand. Spot price goes through the roof.
Wow.
So it's super important to understand these different pricing things, whether you're an investor, work for a manufacturer, or just want to see more electric vehicles on the roads, which I'm sure we all do.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, the Lithium Voice really focuses on China. And for good reason, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. They're a lithium superpower, not just producing tons of it, but using it in manufacturing like it's going out of style.
It's mind-blowing, really.
It really is. What happens in China's lithium market impacts everyone else too, the entire world.
It's all connected. And a big part of that is that China's spot price for lithium carbonate, that's often seen as the benchmark for the whole market globally.
Yeah, like everyone else's guide.
Right.
But it gets even more complex because, and the Lithium Voice points this out, it's not like all lithium carbonate is the same. It's kind of like, gasoline.
Oh, different grades.
Exactly. You've got your regular, your plus, your premium, all gasoline, but the quality's different.
That makes sense.
And it's the same with lithium carbonate. There are different grades, each with their own purity levels, impurities, all that. And that obviously impacts what people are willing to pay. Like, you wouldn't put the cheapest gas in a high-performance car, would you?
Definitely not. You'd ruin it.
Exactly. It's all about getting the right grade for the job.
Which makes this pricing puzzle even more fascinating. How do you create any kind of stability or predictability in a market as crazy as this? And this is where it gets really interesting. The Lithium Voice says lithium trading is starting to look like something our ancestors were doing with crops centuries ago. Lithium futures sounds futuristic, right?
It does.
But it's actually been around for ages.
I know, right? Imagine this. You're a farmer back in the 1800s, and you're planting your crops, wheat, corn, all that, but you have no idea what the price will be when it's time to harvest. Talk about stressful.
I bet. That's a huge risk. So what do they do?
Well, they came up with futures contracts, a way to basically pre-order your groceries a year in advance.
So you know exactly what you'll pay, even if there's some crazy weather or a huge harvest that messes everything up.
Exactly. And that same idea, it's happening with lithium now. The Lithium Voice really goes into how these contracts are changing the game.
Makes sense.
Because now buyers and sellers can lock in prices years in advance. It brings some stability.
Which is definitely needed in a market like this. And that stability, that helps everyone, right? Like, investors are more likely to back those big lithium mining projects when they know the price isn't going to suddenly crash.
Exactly. And it means companies that need lithium, like the electric car companies, they can plan their budgets better when they know what their lithium costs are going to be.
Everyone wins. And the word's getting out about lithium futures because the Lithium Voice mentioned some pretty big names getting involved.
Yeah, for sure. We're talking huge global exchanges like the CME Group, London Metal Exchange, even the Singapore Exchange. Lithium is becoming a big deal globally.
It makes sense. I mean, it's becoming so important for, like, everything. But I'm guessing lithium isn't as easy to trade as something like corn or wheat. It's not just about storing it in a silo somewhere, right?
You got it. Lithium, especially lithium hydroxide, it's a bit more high maintenance. The Lithium Voice talks about how storage and shelf life can be tricky. It's like it absorbs moisture from the air
It's a more complicated than your average
a
commodity.
little bit. But overall, yeah, lithium futures seem like a really positive step, more transparency, more stability. It's good for everyone. But that's not all. The Lithium Voice also talked about something even more modern, online options for lithium.
Seriously, online auctions. It's like eBay for batteries.
I know. It sounds crazy, but it's already happening.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What did the Lithium Voice say about them?
Well, they pointed out a few platforms that are really shaking things up. There's the Battery Material Exchange, or BMX, run by Pilbara Minerals. They're a huge lithium producer in Australia. And then there's Albemarle, another big player. They've been using this platform called Metal Shub. Oh, and Mineral Resources, another Australian company. They're about to launch their own platform, too.
Sounds like everyone wants in on this. So are these platforms the future?
Potentially, yeah. One of the best things about them is the transparency. Traditional trading can be a bit, well,
Mysterious.
exactly. But with these auctions, everyone can see the bids, so it's fairer, more competitive.
No more backroom deals.
Exactly. But, and the Lithium Voice mentions this, the amount of lithium actually traded on these platforms is still pretty small. Like, compared to the total market, it's a drop in the ocean.
So they're not replacing traditional trading completely anytime soon.
Probably not, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. As they become more popular, who knows, maybe one day we'll all be buying our lithium online.
I could get behind that. Speaking of the future, though, the Lithium Voice also brought up direct lithium extraction, DLE. Sounds pretty sci-fi to me.
Yeah, DLE is a hot topic right now, and for good reason.
It's about finding better ways to extract lithium,
Right.
especially from brines,
You got it.
like those massive evaporation ponds you see pictures of. They're kind of cool to look at, but I bet they're not great for the environment.
Oh, they definitely have their downsides.
Yeah, huge. Like they take up so much space.
So much space, and they can be tough on the environment around them. Plus, it takes ages for that brine to evaporate, like way too long. And that's what DLE wants to fix.
It's like a shortcut to getting the lithium.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Instead of waiting around for nature, DLE uses all these high-tech methods to just pull the lithium right out of the brine. Much faster and way better for the environment, potentially.
And the Lithium Voice said this isn't just some futuristic dream, right? It's actually happening.
It's happening. There are already projects up and running, commercial ones, and investors are really excited about DLE. But the Lithium Voice does make a good point.
What's that?
It's not a magic solution, DLE. There are still challenges.
Like what?
Well, every brine source is different, right? It's not as simple as just showing up with your DLE tech and sucking out the lithium. The concentration's different, the mix of other stuff in there, even the location and weather can impact things.
So what works great in one spot might not work somewhere else?
Exactly. And then there's the whole environmental side of it. Yeah, DLE could be way more sustainable than the evaporation ponds, but we need more research to be sure.
Can't be too careful with something this important.
For sure. And speaking of important, the Lithium Voice ended with a really interesting question.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
Well, they were talking about iron ore and how lithium might be headed down a similar path in the markets.
Iron ore. That's been traded forever. What happened with iron ore?
So for the longest time, iron ore trading relied on these individual contracts that buyers and sellers would work out themselves. But then something changed.
What was that?
Futures contracts, they started becoming more and more common, to the point where they're the way to trade iron ore.
So instead of actually trading the iron ore, people are trading these contracts, these bets on what the price will be in the future.
Yeah, basically. Kind of wild when you think about it.
It is. But does that mean the same thing could happen with lithium?
That's the question, isn't it? Will we get to a point where lithium futures are even bigger than trading the actual lithium itself? The Lithium Voice left us with that one.
And if that does happen, what does it mean for everything else? Like for our electric cars, our phones, all the stuff that uses these batteries.
It's all connected, and that's what makes this so important. As we shift towards cleaner energy, we have to understand lithium. Not just how to get it, but how it's traded, how it's priced, all of it.
It's bigger than just one industry or one country, really.
You got it.
Well, on that note, a huge thanks to the Lithium Voice for such an interesting look at the world of lithium pricing. And to you for listening. Until next time.